Hey guys, this is Sandy. I am here in Central Florida. I'm a real estate agent, but also deal a lot with Airbnb and short-term rental properties. I have quite a few videos on YouTube going over the subject, how to buy one, how to sell one, that kind of thing. Today I want to do a video on preparing your Airbnb property for sale. So let's say you have a Airbnb property, you're making money from it, but right now you probably want to sell it to buy a bigger one, or maybe sell it to buy another one in another area, or any of those things. Hopefully it's not because you're not making money, because if it's not because you're not making money, call me first before you sell it, right? I'll show you how you could make money on it. So if you're preparing how do you prepare it for sale? I do not believe you should take it off the market. A lot of people will say, well, if you're gonna sell it, take it off the market. No, don't do that. Because when it comes off the market, the first thing the buyers are gonna ask is, well, how many bookings do they have? And if you say, well, they took it off the market to sell it, the first thing the buyer's gonna also ask is, well, is it because it wasn't making any money? So you wanna keep it active, but you don't wanna show it while you have a guest in the property. So if you were selling it and you put it on the market and you have buyers wanting to look, then they gotta look around the guest. Don't you ever have a buyer go in your property while a guest is there. Because I know the buyer is not going to have the property in the best condition. God knows how they're going to have the property, and that's what the buyer is going to see. So you want to keep it booked, but you want to show to the buyers in between bookings. That will also make the property even more valuable in the eyes of the buyer, because they're going to realize that it's not too easy to get into, right? Because if an agent is saying the property is always booked, we can only show it between this time and that time, that's the only time they could see it, which makes it better for you. Also, if you keep it booked, the more bookings you have to convey to the buyer, the better the property looks, the more money you'll make. So that's the first point. Second point is you want to make sure the property is completely maintained. Now, it should already be maintained because obviously you're renting it to guests and you're turning it over, but you want to look for, just small little things like scratches on the wall, like utensils. What do they look like? What does the pots and pans look like under the cabinet? Something you got to check that. I recommend you check that every 2 to 3 months. I really do, because sometimes you might buy a brand new pot set and you put it underneath the cabinet and you're thinking the brand new pot set is still there. Next thing you know, you go and the pot is all dented or burnt up or God knows what, because sometimes guests does things to the pots and the pans and they don't tell you, and then they just wash it and put it underneath the cabinet. The house cleaner is not going to necessarily take every single pot and pan out and check them all the time for every clean. They couldn't do it. They wouldn't have the time to do it. So you want to make sure you check that. Another thing you're going to check is if you have extra sheets and blankets that you leave for the guests, and also towels, you want to literally shake those out and check them. Because there are times when guests will stain a sheet, stain a blanket. They don't tell you, they just fold and put it back like they didn't use it. And when the cleaner goes in, they think that, oh, that's already clean, it's folded. Not knowing that the guests already used it and folded up like that, right? So this is something that you want to check on an ongoing basis, because guests have some ways of doing some things that are just not cool, right? If that makes sense, right? Sometimes they'll bring towels out to the pool area. They may not use a towel, they'll bring the towels back, but the towels might have got damp or dirty from just sitting out there. So these are some of the things that you definitely want to check, because these are things that comes as a surprise. Like, I guess we'll call and say, well, I went to go use a towel and it was damp and we thought these were all clean towels, right? So these are things you want to check. You want to make sure there's no stains or rip and that kind of stuff in your inventory. And that's why you want to do this every 2 to 3 months, just to stay on top of things, right? Because guests do things that, I mean, there's some great guests, but there's sometimes guests do things. Sometimes even the kids of the guests do it without the guests knowing, and then put it back and you have no clue, right? So these are things you want to check. So these are some of the stuff that I would do if I was thinking of preparing my Airbnb for sale. Another thing is you want to make sure that everything is smart. And I know I keep repeating this on all the videos I do, but I'm not sure if everyone that's going to be listening to each video is going to have these things set up. So you definitely want to have a smart lock set up on your phone as an app, smart thermostat, obviously, cameras from your phone all outside, at least one in the front, one in the back, or at least a Nest camera. For the sliding doors in the living room, you want to make sure you have the automation where if they slide the door or leave it open for too long, the AC will shut itself off. Also want to make sure that you're able to control your pool settings from the app on your phone, right? Because you want to have a smart home so that when you transfer it over to the new buyer, they are like, oh my gosh, all this is already set up. We're just going to transfer the account to them, and they don't have to go get it done, right? So this is what's going to make the property look even more attractive, because if you're buying a smart home versus a dumb home, a dumb home, right? If you're buying a home that's fully automated for short-term rental, as opposed to buying a home that you're going to have to put all that stuff in, the person is going to more be willing to buy the turnkey home that they could buy and just start renting immediately. So that's how you want to make the property. You want to make the property in such a way that when the buyer buys it, they're in their mind, they know that they could just put it on the market the next day, right? They could change out things in between guests, like to their liking, but for the most part, you want to make it in a condition where it's completely easily moved in, right? You want to make sure your game room have modern games. You want to make sure you have no dirt, or there's sometimes when you go in the vents, especially in Central Florida, the vents, there's a lot of dirt in the vents because the vents have not been cleaned in a while, and you see all that dirt, and that's not looking good for your AC system. So you may want to have someone come and check your AC system. So sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh wow, shouldn't be doing all this on the video. I'm so sorry. So these are some of the things that you want to do as you prepare your home, your Airbnb property for sale. We should have a number on the screen, so give us a call if you have any questions on that. We do work with a network of agents, so we may be able to find you an agent even if you're not in our area, or an advisor if you're preparing your Airbnb property for sale. But do reach out to us, because we'll be able to help you to prepare it for you to get the maximum amount of money. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next video.